What is going on, traders? What a crazy day. We got to talk about it. We're going to talk about the SPY, triple Qs, Bitcoin, Nvidia, of course. And then we're going to go over the possibility of this being a bear trap. Before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So, this is going to be a quick video. I'm not going to go too deep into everything simply because we have a lot of news coming in tomorrow, specifically FOMC minutes. So, we want to be prepared for that. We want to be cautious heading into tomorrow. So, right now, we're looking at the SPY daily time frame. And one thing I did say in the last video is that I would not be surprised we fill that gap at around 592 on the SPY and possibly get some type of bear trap from there. Well, we didn't get the bear trap, at least not yet, I would say. We went well beyond that gap. We saw a massive pullback towards the downside, but I have been warning that we want to be careful between 598 and 600, and bears stepped in once again. And so the question is, are we going to see a bear trap from here? Is this a actual bear trap? So one thing I will say, all right, bulls are very much present in this area down here between 585, 590s, okay? Bulls are extremely present. You have a bunch of bullish wicks in this area, but not only that, let's obviously talk about the lower highs here, right? We have a high here, lower high here, lower high here. And so that confirms that we are starting to form some type of downtrend, right? But what if, okay, what if, all right? And I'm not saying this is going to happen or anything like that, but just what if, right? We have a low here and a higher low here, right? Just what if. Now, the higher low is not yet confirmed. We need some type of bullish momentum from this area, but just what if, all right? So I want you guys to be prepared for that potential scenario because, again, we have a lot of news coming in tomorrow, right? And so we go down to the 4-hour time frame here, and we're pretty liquid back towards the upside. And one can argue that you may have some type of cup and handle. Now, the handle isn't quite clear just yet, but you can argue that there is something here, right? You can argue that maybe this is a head and shoulders pattern, inverse head and shoulders pattern, in this area right here. So you will have some type of shoulder here, right? You will have a head here and another shoulder possibly form here. And so if we're talking about the measured move, so all we do is bring some type of measurement tool from the top of the shoulder to the bottom of the head, right? And then you drag that measurement to the neckline. So your neckline will be at around 604. We always talk about that level. And you're looking at a move towards 614. Now, we talk about 614 before. I've said if we break above 608.5, 606, you're looking at a move towards as high as about 614. And so, again, are we looking at a potential higher low here? I can't say for sure. Okay, I can't say for sure. I just want you guys to be prepared for that potential scenario. And so your key levels to focus on here, we broke below 592, so I think it's safe to assume that we're going to head towards 585 from here. Between 586 585, we actually hit, I believe we did hit 586. So we already hit that target, and so we want to see 584 hold here. All right, if we break below 584, you're starting to boil. Okay, you're starting to boil. Okay, you get below 580, you're starting to cook. Okay, you get below 578, your house is on fire. You need to grab the kids. You need to grab your spouse and get out of there. Okay. Get the dog too. Okay. Don't forget the dog. Get you some fruit snacks, some Capri Suns. Your house is done for. Okay. So we want to be prepared for that. All right. Now, if you're bearish, obviously you want that type of scenario. Now, in regards to upside, all right. In regards to upside, 598. That is our key level over and over again. We're going to keep talking about it until we see some type of action above that level if we're trying to be bullish. So 598, you want to get above 598. After that, you're looking at 600, 602. And then if we're talking about a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern here, and you have your neckline up here, you're looking at a move above 604. After that, chances are you're heading towards all-time highs, 614. Possibly being the highest. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at in regards to the SPY. Again, I'm not saying that this is a guaranteed lower high that's about to happen. I mean, a higher low that's about to happen. I'm just simply saying that it is very much possible that that can happen. Okay, and so we look at the triple Qs. And so same scenario for triple Qs. Now, what's important about the triple Qs is that it held 515, but it is below 518. All right, and so Could we be looking at the same scenario? We do have a high here, lower high here, another lower high here. And so if you're bullish or if you're looking to be bullish, you want to see a higher low get formed here, okay, on the triple Qs. Now, it's a good sign that 515 is being held into close. But again, we have a lot of news tomorrow, so this level can easily cut like butter. So we don't want to marry the idea that we're just going to head straight up from here just because we held 515, especially with the amount of news that's coming in tomorrow. And so once again, we filled this gap on the triple Qs at around 518. We mentioned this in the last video where I said I wouldn't be surprised this gets filled, and then we see some type of bear trap. So far, we haven't gotten that bear trap, and we can very much continue to head towards the downside from here. But what's important to note here is, again, like I said on the SPY, bulls are very much present in this area. A lot of bullish wicks here, a lot of massive bullish candles in this area, okay? So very much possible that we do see some type of bounce from here, especially if we hold 515. Now, if we give up 515, then I think it's safe to say that we're heading towards 510. After 510, you're talking about 507. Lowest you're looking at is about 505, at least for the short term. My target still remains if we do see some type of market correction or flash crash, whatever you want to call it, is 492. Okay, if we're talking about downside. If we're talking about upside here, and let's say this is another inverse head and shoulders pattern, it's not the most cleanest one, I will say that much. So you can definitely argue that this is not an inverse head and shoulders pattern. I would not be mad at you. I would not argue with you there. But if again, you want to get above 529, okay? 529, and we tried, okay? We tried 528. We got to 528 between 528 529, but if we can get above 529, we're starting to look good. Okay, if we get above 530, we're looking really good. Okay, we're looking really good. So that's what I'm looking at for the triple Qs. And so that brings me to the Nasdaq. All right, so the Nasdaq is at support right now. Okay, very major support right here. Okay, you see it here, right? And again, bulls are very much present in this area. You don't need a volume profile. You don't need glasses to see that bulls are very much present in this area. And so you want to see this level hold. I would say that you want to see NQ hold 21,270. Okay, 21,270, pretty much where these guys are. All right, so right where these guys are. Where is it? So right here where these guys are. Okay, you want to see this. You just want to see this whole area get held. Okay, if NQ gives up this area, then things are looking pretty scary. You're going to start heading towards the low 21K. We do not want that if we're looking to be bullish. If you're looking to be bearish, you want that. All right. And so, again, we are looking at a falling wedge pattern. Now, we did somewhat have a false breakout here, so that can, invalidate this pattern. But until we start breaking further down towards the bottom of this falling wedge, which is very much possible, we can start heading towards as low as 20,500. I will say that this is still somewhat valid. Okay, now if we break back out of here, my target still remains in regards to upside. We talked about this in the last video where I said we can start heading as high as 22K. Today we headed as high as about 21,900, so close enough. I said 22K, 22,300, and if we're being like super, and I mean extremely greedy, we can talk about levels towards 23,000. We're not quite there yet for me to really get deep into that target, but it's very much possible. But once again, I mean bears are strong in this area, guys. I mean you got bears here, right? You have bears here as well. I mean, they're very much present in this area, so we really want to be careful. But once again, what is preventing us from making another higher low? Okay, you got your low here, right? And then you have a potential. Again, keyword is potential higher low here. Okay, so we want this level to hold. Okay, we want this area to hold for us to start seeing more upside. All right, so we look at the ES. 6,040. We just could not hold it. Okay, we just could not hold that. We got above. I mean, we got above it, and then we immediately wicked down here. We tried again, wicked down once again. So bears just continue. These bears right here. Okay, this is why I want. This is why I always talk about the presence of bears on bulls in certain areas, because you can see it here. Once you get to certain points on charts or certain points on a stock or whatever you're looking at, you can see it. I mean, we got up here, and you can see these guys stepped in, these guys right here, they stepped in, and then they pushed us down right here. So I think that's a healthy way to, really learn the charts. When you start talking to yourself, as crazy as that sounds, you start talking to yourself and you start saying, okay, once we get up here, there's a lot of bears in this area, so we might actually reject from this area. Once we get here in this area where these guys are, there's a good chance we reject in this area because there's a lot of bears here, and this is where Jerome Powell spoke, and we dropped. So, you start doing that, and you start really getting more familiar on where bears and bulls are. And so right now, bulls are very much present in this area on the ES. Again, you don't need anything to see this. It's clear as day. Bulls are very much present in this area. So we could see some type of bounce from here. It's very much possible. Okay. Am I marrying the idea? No, but it is something to look out for, especially considering the amount of news we have coming in tomorrow. And so we got to look at Bitcoin, right? So I told you guys that Bitcoin gets above 100K, you're heading towards 102.7. We went as high as we actually didn't hit 102.7, and yeah, this thing got decimated. I mean, you couldn't even see it coming. Okay, you couldn't see it coming. I honestly thought we could see much higher than that, at least 105K minimum, but we it just didn't happen, guys. So yeah, once it got above 100K, I was actually interested. I was bullish. It went towards 102. It hit one of our targets at least, but then it got destroyed. So yeah, it's nothing you can do about it. There's no way you can see this move coming. You just couldn't. Okay. So what I will say about Bitcoin is that it is back in this range between 92K and 100K. So now I'm not interested in it. I'm just not interested in it again, all over again. So, unfortunately, as long as it stays within this range, there's nothing to talk about. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If it gets below 92K, we can start talking about some downside. If it gets back above 100K, honestly, I still wouldn't be interested. I would like to see Bitcoin get above 103K at this point. If it gets above 103K, we're definitely going to see a move towards 105K. After that, you're looking at a move towards 107K. But for now, the fact that it gave up 100K, I mean, it just gave up all of this. It's nothing to talk about. It's just going to continue to trade in this range between 92K and 100K until we get whatever news. All right, so that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Not interested in it. So if you ask me about MSTR, I'm just gonna tell you I'm not interested. Okay, if you ask me about coin, I'm gonna tell you I'm not interested. Okay, until Bitcoin actually breaks either up or down those key levels that we just talked about. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. So let's get into Nvidia. So Nvidia. So Nvidia is really, really interesting here, guys. So what I will say is that whales are loading up calls on Nvidia. Okay, despite what we saw today, whales are loading up calls like madmen. Okay, they're loading the boat right now. And so we look at our Discord group, and I mean the amount of calls our bot alerted that came in on the options chain is just insane right now. So I mean, you see it here. So let's actually scroll up a little bit because a lot, even during the drop, calls were still flooding the gates. So I want you guys to see this. Okay, so bear with me here. All right. So 162 calls. So a lot of these calls are coming in for February 21st, 2025. You have Nvidia 161 calls for February 21st. 161 calls again, 161 calls, 162 calls, 162 calls, 162 calls, 162 calls. I mean, you can see it yourself. 160 calls. So yeah, a lot of calls are coming in for Nvidia. 164 calls. Then you got some puts coming in. These can be hedges. Okay. You got 145 puts. And then you have 120 puts here from March 21st. So you have 145 puts. These are obviously already in profit. So I imagine that whale took profit. If not, then yeah, they're just being greedy. But regardless, I mean, you got 140 calls here, and then you got other stocks coming in as well. So yeah, if you want access to this information, if you want access to these types of trades, Discord link is in the description below. Our bot alerts what the whales are doing on the options chain, the most significant contracts, so on and so forth. But while that drop was happening, these were flying in. Okay, these were flying in like fireworks. When we were talking about it in the group, I talked about it with one of my partners. It was insane. So 162 calls are flooding the gates for Nvidia right now. And so considering where we are, I do think it's very much possible that we see a bounce from here when it comes to Nvidia. Now, there is a gap around 139. Okay, there's a gap right here. Okay, so if we do see a little more downside, I wouldn't be surprised we fill this gap. And then once we fill this gap, there's very much a potential move back towards the upside where we hit the bottom of this rising wedge and start seeing a move back towards the upside. It's also important to note that this area right here, although bears are very much present here, is very illiquid. Very, very illiquid. We talk about illiquid areas and liquid areas all the time on this channel. And so at some point in time, Nvidia will need to come back up here. It's just a matter of when. I can't say that's going to happen tomorrow or whatever, whenever. I can't say it's going to happen Friday or anything like that. But it is important to note that at some point in time, Nvidia needs to come back here and clear this area out. How it does that, can't say for sure, but bears are obviously very much present right here. So yeah, don't marry that idea anytime soon right now. But whales are very much loading up calls, those 160 calls. If you go to the top of this rising wedge right here, you will see that we can head as high as 163, 165. Okay, so very much possible that those whales contracts are going to play out. It's just all a matter of when. So obviously, we want to see that happen before February 21st. If not by then or on that date, whatever. Okay, so yeah, something to look forward to on Nvidia. You still have this inverse head and shoulders pattern here. Now, what's interesting here is that you did break back below the neckline of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. So something to pay attention to. So yeah, something to pay attention to. You actually didn't break. Well, this isn't a neckline. This is the neckline. So you did break back below it, but this can easily be a bear trap once again. All right. So watch out for Nvidia. Watch Nvidia for 141. It did get back above 141 after hours, but take that with a grain of salt. If it gets below 141, then you're looking at a gap fill towards 139 on Nvidia. And so we look at SMH, and then I think I'm going to get you guys up out of here because again, I just want to make this a quick video. All right. If a video breaks below that gap fill, then you pack your bags. You're going straight to the abyss. So yeah. So um, SMH. So SMH is currently at its gap fill. It hit support at around 253. Its gap fill is at 252.5. Didn't exactly feel it, but currently after hours, it did see some type of bounce back towards the upside. Currently at 254.98, but take that with a grain of salt. It's after hours. It doesn't necessarily matter, especially considering the amount of news we have in the morning. And so right here, you hit this 262. I mean, and you saw that mean rejection, guys, mean rejection. And then I told you guys in the last video about this reversal pattern here. You did have a massive, massive hammer pattern right here, and that played out. So I just said this in the last video that there is a reversal pattern here, probably heading towards this gap fill. And then that's when I was talking about Nvidia heading towards 145, right? So yeah, played out like clockwork. We talk about SOXX. Same thing with SOXX. It's currently at support, guys, at around 225. So yeah, we can see a bounce from here. We definitely can. It didn't fill this gap at 223.5. So be on the lookout for that potential move. But yeah, SMH, Semiconductor ETF, and SOXX are both at key levels here. And if you consider that, or you put that in correlation with Nvidia and where it is near its gap fill, there's a good chance we could see a bounce, guys. So that's all I want to go over in this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. A short one, a quick one. We got a lot of news tomorrow, so be cautious. Discord link is in the description below if you want to see how we're going to play tomorrow out, if we're going to play it at all. Market is closed Thursday, so chances are I will not make a video tomorrow. I need a break. Okay, I just need a break. All right. So um if you got questions, comment your thoughts below. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. Just keep it respectful as always. Until the next video, traders, have a good one.